my delicious sigil tea. I say sigil tea because the rosemary sprig is the sigil of House Gilbert, and it contains very much hidden messages that I shall pass on directly to my progeny. But the sigil of House Gilbert will be a reflection of the greatness of my house, of the destiny, of the lineage that I create. So back to my favorite thing ever, reviewing books. So will be another episode of an unending series in which I'm going to be discussing books, because that's just what I love more than anything. I restarted Max Hastings Vietnam, and I'm going to explain to you what the Sublime narration is. I just finished this audiobook about 5 weeks ago. So why did I start it again? Because of a Sublime narration. There's some narrators with the appropriate text, like the one that I listened to, Thus Spoke Zarathustra on YouTube. There's this narration that captures that text perfectly. There's this narrator who captures the prince perfectly. I'm currently listening to A Dance of Dragons, right? The fifth novel in George R.R. Martin's epic saga, A Song of Ice and Fire, right? This is my second time that I'm completing this 5-volume set. I'm currently, I just passed the halfway mark of A Dance with Dragons. Sharon Grunwald narrating narrating A Song of Ice and Fire. That is a completely sublime narration. And what I mean by sublime is that, like, when I listen to a sublime narration, it's like the same feeling that some people get when they're listening to a good song that they love. Like, it just, the amount of satisfaction I have to listen into words being recited by certain voices that really just coincide with the cadence and just capture the spirit of the text is ultimate bliss for me, right? And ultimately, with a sublime narrator, I like to have these voices in my head because there's a continuous thread and inner monologue of text. The way that my brain breaks down the ideas into syllables and words and characters. So I like to have the appropriate narrator narrating my inner monologue. Yeah, that's right. You know, when I first wrote the first draft of the history of the United States of Latin America about 2 years ago, August of 2 years ago, right around the time that I created the adaptive expansive philosophy, I had this one narrator in my head. He does the people's profile with an English accent. And there's a reason why the English accent is so cherished, right? And there's a reason why all educational films or documentaries, they sound a little more official when they're heard with a British accent. And I'll make it short as to why that is. Tolstoy references it, not the accent part, but there's a quote from Tolstoy in War and Peace about the British, and it kind of refers to this idea, like, of the British believing that they are superior in statecraft and empires, right? And that's why I believe that the British accent is so touted, because the British voice is, the English accent is the accent of civilization, of domestication, of the wild, civilization of the human species, right? So that's why, like, that British accent is so prominent, and especially in, like, educational documentaries. So for me, like, when I write, or in general, I prefer for my thoughts to be narrated by an inner monologue, an appropriate inner monologue. Sometimes a British accent is appropriate. Sharon Grunwald, I love her voice to narrate the inner thoughts in my head. And sometimes I like appropriate, music in the background, mayhaps even classical. That's right. My inner monologue sometimes has a British accent accompanied with classical music. Somewhat refined, albeit, right? Whereas you look at somebody like Matt Walsh or Steven Crowder, right? You look at these guys, their inner monologue is probably like, must go to store, buy food, must check out groceries, drive home, there's black people, go home, create content, blah, 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 black people did this. Like, that's probably what their inner monologue is like, whereas mine is more refined, elegant, based in full philosophical introspection. So nonetheless, Yeah, Max Hastings, Vietnam, right? Let's get back to this one, right? Because like it's the Vietnam War is just so fascinating to read about, or to read or to listen to audiobooks about war is fascinating, especially when you see like the horrors that people had to go through, which is why we in this beautiful country that just celebrated our 250th birthday, that's why we're so cool with going to war, because we don't know what war is. Our troops do, yeah, of course. But as civilians, we don't know what it is to live through war. We don't know what it's like to be under attack. We don't know what it's like to go hungry and to just suffer and starve and just die by the masses. We don't know what that's like. But the Vietnam War itself is just so poetic, right? It's so fascinating, and in that fascination was born simulation theory, I believe, because simulation theory is born out of my passion for history and just learning. So anyway, I think I'm just shooting just to shoot, because if there's people that are watching, I appreciate that, and if you don't have time to watch the videos, that's fine too. You know, like, it really doesn't matter. At some point, I do expect to blow up, and this will, and these clips, these videos that I'm shooting will live in the hyper reality of the internet forever, and they'll be there for people to access. But nonetheless, about an hour left to the gym, so I shall make, or I already brought a breakfast taco that I'll pair with a beer, quite frankly, because what is to have complete control over oneself, right? To vanquish the demons of addiction. If I want to have a smoke, I'll have a smoke. And if I want to have a beer, I'll have a beer. Unfortunately, right now, I no longer have the desire for THC at this moment in my life. Don't really have the desire to get drunk. With that said, though, I will go to watch the games today. I want to check out Brazil, and I want to check out Mexico. And alas, I may have a draft beer or two, right? Just because, again, I want to be in the company of people right now. So anyway, if you watched this or if you didn't, I hope you have a great day. Thank you.